Welcome to Horror Cult Trash Over, the show that discusses all of the masterpieces and trash the pieces of genre cinema. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we are finally at our final episode of Pride Month. Not finally, actually. That makes it sound like I'm glad. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not glad, but it's been a great Pride Month.
Yeah, you're not glad you're proud.
I'm glad, yeah. I mean, you know. We're back and we're as professional as ever. So we've discussed mostly good films this month, with the exception of one bad film that was still massively entertaining. And we're here to discuss another good film today. And for our final Pride Month guests of the year, we have a couple that love discussing horror films just as much as we do and cover just as many masterpieces and trash pieces as we do. They made us watch Jaws: The Revenge when we were guests on their podcast, and we've just about managed to forgive them for making us sit through it.
Just about.
Just about. We're still having nightmares about Michael Caine and his jokes.
Yes.
It's the amazing, hilarious, and always entertaining Sergio and Cody from the Horror Bandwagon Podcast. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I do have to first off say we both, I think, take accountability. We are so sorry for having you sit through Jaws for the Revenge, but I do think it is a good episode.
Oh, it was a great episode. We loved being on your podcast, and we love your podcast. It's fantastic.
Technically, though, two bad films.
And well, yeah, you're still hung up on Jaws 2.
Yeah, we did have to watch Jaws 2 to prepare for Jaws: The Revenge.
To get the shark's backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The backstory.
To our defense, though, a quick Wikipedia search would have done
Yeah, that's true.
fine.
I wish we knew that then.
But you didn't tell us that.
That, you know what? That is true.
I
But
mean,
yes.
with the general quality of the movie, it may as well have been opened with a previously on
Oh my god.
Jaws.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Can you imagine? That would have been perfect. It was the 80s, and so many films were doing that back then. It absolutely should have had that.
Yeah. It would have had something to do with the story, though. Wouldn't it? It was bad, but it wasn't, they had a little sense.
Yes.
But I will say, I don't think I'll ever see that movie again. I just can't sit through it. I don't think I can sit through it still. But I'll talk about it. I don't mind talking about it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad we discussed it on your podcast as well, because now we don't ever have to cover it on this
We can
one.
just listen to
We'll
the episode.
just
and
point
be like,
people in the direction of your
memories.
podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to reach out to your listeners right now. Everyone, make them cover it on this podcast. Send them emails, DMs.
So, for our listeners, let us know what got you into horror and what made you want to start a podcast.
Ooh, I mean, for me, horror has always been pretty relevant since I was maybe, I almost said 5, but I don't think I was that young. I want to say maybe around 9 or 10 when Blockbuster was big and my parents would, take me out to Blockbuster and pick off horror movies, mostly because they wanted to watch it. And I would just sit there and watch it too. So like big hitters like A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, all those, classics. I grew up with, and oddly enough, one of my favorite, I don't know if you guys have seen it, was Night of the Demons.
Yes.
One of my faves, and I remember I was so excited. Maybe like around 14, I heard that they were coming out on DVD because it was just VHS for a good amount of time, and I sought it out. I went out to buy it with my own money. Oh, also my parent, because I don't think I could just purchase that on my own. But yeah. I mean, horror movie has always been in my life. But didn't want to start a podcast until I met this fella here, Cody. Because when we started dating, he told me he was not a big fan of horror movies.
Yeah, and it's funny because now that we've been doing the podcast for more than a year. And we've been watching horror movies for several years now together. And the perspective that I've kind of gotten from that is that a lot of the things that I loved when I was younger probably would be considered horror, but I never really thought of them as horror. I always thought of horror as like Halloween or Saw, like slasher, and especially like the torture porn type movies. But even as a kid, I was always drawn to like some of the darker supernatural things. I read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark multiple times. I loved ghost stories. I like was really into especially supernatural stuff. So I've always sort of had a like I've always sort of been drawn to that stuff, but it's not something that like once I got older I really brought over to my movie taste for some reason. I don't know why, but now yeah, we're doing the podcast together because we were watching horror movies, and most of the time when we watch a horror movie together, I'm just, calling out all the stuff that I don't think makes any sense. And so we were like, why not record it?
Yeah, it was like a light bulb hit just popped up at the top of my head, because we would talk about it. We were constantly pause the movie because I was just like, Cody, it doesn't have to make sense. Like, come on. And he was like, no, this is ridiculous. And we would just go back and forth. And I'm like, this is genius. We need to record it. People need to hear this. Like, I don't know. And apparently people do.
Absolutely. And that's what makes your podcast work so well, is having those two different opinions there. And that, both of you coming from such different backgrounds with horror, it really works. And it's always a lot of fun to listen to, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Whereas us, we just, I think we're more on the Cody side of things. We just say like, okay, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, seriously.
It's true. It's true. We'd maybe be accused of overanalyzing sometimes.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my God. I think you guys just need to have Cody on just by himself on this podcast. I'll see myself out. Oh my God. No, I'm kidding.
But today we are discussing a horror comedy. Yeah, no, of course it's a horror comedy. A romantic horror comedy. From 1996. We are discussing Killer Condom. This has been on my radar for a while, but only because I thought it was going to be so bad it's good. I thought, okay, easy podcast film for us, we'll just do what we do. So bad it's good. But I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it until you mentioned it.
Do you guys have a history with this film? Have you heard of it before I mentioned it?
No, I thought it was going to be like, I was definitely on the same page as you guys. I thought it was going to be one of those, like, because anytime a movie is like killer blank, it's always like a really bad film. And sometimes they end up being so bad it's good. And while, I'll admit this film was very cheesy, especially at the beginning, I really thought this was pretty good, but I had not even heard of it until we started watching it for this episode.
I mean, the title alone for me was like, I have to see this movie.
Yes.
Because it reminded me of like that Bong movie that is a
Killer
killer,
Bong,
and also like Ginger Dead Man, I think, is another one. Like those kind of movies was just like, oh my God, I feel like it's gonna be that. It's gonna be so bad. And just like you guys, while I was watching it, even the silly, like technically bad parts, I was like, this is genius. I love what I'm seeing. This is so funny. It's so good.
Absolutely. And what's insane is the fact that Troma released it. And obviously with Troma, they're notorious for their trash to pieces, or just then again with Troma, I don't know if you can call it trash to pieces, because they're going for a very certain type of style. And they succeed. I mean, like something like Romeo and Juliet is just relentlessly disgusting throughout the whole film. And there's a lot of stuff in there you would call a bad film, but then at the same time, it's kind of like, well, they're trying to do that, so is it good? And like Toxic Avenger, there's a lot of trashy stuff in that, but
oh yeah,
great. It's but also what's really bizarre to me is H.R. Geiger did the creature designs.
Yes, that is very strange.
That is so strange that he got involved with a film called Killer Condom.
Yeah, maybe they didn't sell
now
it.
You have to give me some background story there, because I don't know his repertoire for H.R. Geiger. Right, that's his name.
Designed.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, he designed the xenomorphs for Alien.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
I am gagged.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
That's
really
so
renowned
funny.
sort of artists.
Yeah.
For very detailed work. very
Yes.
science fiction based. He also did a album cover for Debbie Harry, didn't he?
Did he? I mean, I'm
Ooh.
impressed. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
really
he did.
cool.
Yeah. I can't remember which one. But yeah, quite renowned. I don't know, serious artist, I suppose.
Well, I mean,
Designing killer condoms.
the condoms look terrifying in this film, and previous podcast guest Xander actually sent me some designs, the original designs for this, and they look horrifying, like even worse than the films. Like the teeth and the little details of it. It's like, hey, you're really trying to make this condom look scary. It's insane.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't sold as killer condom. Maybe they said we need a creature for this film.
Design it like a condom.
Like yeah, so we need it to look like this. Maybe like a condom, but not a condom. No, not a condom. No, it's definitely not a condom.
No, that's
Definitely not called killer condom. It's definitely not.
I do. The scene where they open the condom up, I did think that was pretty cool. Where I was like, oh, this is what we're seeing inside. So I was like, okay, they're adding some depth to this killer condom lore.
There's gonna be a few phrases during this that I'm gonna laugh at just because it sounds so silly.
Yeah,
Talk about.
it's written and directed by Martin Waltz, who made 99 Euro films, Mars Melody, and lots of short films based on the comics by Ralph Koenig, who was also responsible for The Most Desired Man, Lysistrata, and the animation department on House of Boys. My favorite.
Yeah. 99 Euro film, my favorite. I love them.
As in 99 euros, in like 99 pence, like not 99 films based on euros.
Oh, I thought you 99 euros. Like I've seen them all. They're great, wonderful. My favorite franchise.
I'm not sure how much this was made for. I mean, it looks like a B movie, but again, some of the practical effects are really impressive. So I mean, if they did on a small budget, then congratulations, they did a great job.
I don't think a film called Killer Condom would have a huge budget, and I don't think Paramount's going to be putting any money in there. But yeah, whatever budget they pulled off.
I mean, the soundtrack would have took off some of that.
Pulled off Killer Condom. Sorry,
fuck's sake. So we have a lot of trivia. I actually kind of just have some reviews from around the time when it was released. At the time of its 1998 US theatrical release, New York Times reviewer Lawrence Van Gelder said that the Troma release had a level of deadpan humor considerably above the company's usual adolescent subnorm, and that in addition to the usual gore, the film also deals with dislocation, urban anomie, and love and tolerance. On the other hand, Los Angeles Times critic Kevin Thomas called it a strange, tedious sex horror comedy that doesn't travel well. Well, I mean, for the gays, this definitely travels well, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Otto Sanders' manic performance in this cult classic has been cited as a good example of his comedic gifts. In an essay entitled, and this is the greatest name for an essay ever, When Condoms Go Bad, From Safe Sex to 5 Microns to Killer Condoms.
Nice.
A film critic, lost my words for a second there. I'll make a note to edit that. What time are we on? Try that again. The author of this essay has written that the film, despite its third-rate special effects, provides comic relief whilst reflecting tension and anxiety over sexual activity for procreation versus merely just for pleasure. And that is something the film does really well, because, I mean, it obviously there's a big allegory here for, HIV and AIDS, as well as for contraception as a whole as well. Do you think?
Yes, absolutely. I have to say, for me, the biggest, and the irony of having American guests on is not lost on me. The biggest takeaway I got from this is that America's a bit crap. With all due respect, but it's that very urine. Excuse me.
Oh,
Edit
whoa.
that out.
I mean,
That's a Freudian slip if I ever heard one.
New York City does smell like piss sometimes.
Very European sensibility where we make fun of America in a very particular way.
It's funny because I did turn to you, Sergio, at the beginning of this movie, and I was like, is this really what they think New York City is like?
I loved it. I loved it. I mostly was just like so amused by the fact that it was just took place in New York City and everyone's speaking German, like everybody. There was no like it was completely normal, and I was like, yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, and that actually, like, I had a like almost mind blown moment for a second where I was like, is this what it's like for like other people in other countries to watch American movies that take place, like, for example, all in Japan, and everyone is speaking English with American accents?
Yeah, it's refreshing to see it the other way around for once, because we do say a lot, don't we, when we watch films set in different countries now, well, why is everyone speaking English? Like, why is everyone American or British in this film? But then to watch a film set in New York City where everyone is German, it's a strange sight, but it's very entertaining.
Yeah.
Especially the hotel as well. That's like run by a German man, and all of his customers, they're all German.
Yeah.
Like, no one's American at all.
There's one English phrase though, and we'll get to that when it comes.
Yeah.
Apparently there's no German translation for it. I'm not going to give it away now. Keep listening, listeners, because it's a good one. But there is one English phrase that gets through.
So, yeah. So getting into the film, this is quite a big synopsis. It pretty much describes the whole film. In a hotel in a hotel called Quickie, a professor blackmails a student of his into having sex with him. But when the professor puts on a condom, the condom bites off his penis and disappears. Detective Macaroni, who gets the case, thinks that the college girl just bit off her teacher's penis, with an exclamation mark. Macaroni goes to the motel himself to check out the crime scene. In the lobby, he finds a gigolo named Bill, and he asks him to follow him to the crime room. There, the two men attempt to have sex when they suddenly get interrupted by the attack of a killer condom. Now, that's the official IMDb premise. Like, that's half the film gone there.
Is his name Bill?
Billy.
Billy. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, who the fuck's Bill? I was like, what the fuck did I watch?
For a second, I was like, wait, I thought their name was Babette and not.
So we start the film in New York City, Hotel Quickie.
Do we?
We do.
Do we start the film in New York City?
Yes, we do. How do we know that?
I did have a moment where I was like, because it then went to Hotel Quickie, and then I was like, oh, I guess we're in Germany now, I guess. But I also just saw like New York City just a second ago.
B-roll of Times Square and taxis.
Yeah.
And I was like, this does feel like, all right, I'm getting that we are supposed to be in New York City.
But
now.
once he's like traveling like through the city, having his inner monologue, I was just like, oh no, they're for real there. They're for real, like in New York City. I was like, cool. Like, this is where I'm like, man, New York City is there's so much going on there. Little does anybody know that people are filming a movie called Killer Condom.
Oh yeah,
in front of our faces.
It was very obvious when they had scenes outside that they were not extras. They just went out onto the street, and because there is one scene, I can't remember exactly when in the movie it is, but like you see a guy who Detective Macaroni walks past and he looks up and realizes that he's being filmed, and like he runs off screen.
Oh, that's
I love it.
They definitely didn't get any permission slips signed, did they? Because they knew no one that was gonna take any action for it. No one was gonna watch it. So, and then here we are.
A weird fear of mine is being filmed by like a TV crew without my knowledge.
Oh
so
my God.
I don't know if it's the same in America, but particularly in news broadcasts, they'll sort of do shots of people walking down the street, but you can't see their heads. and it'll be something like, Britain is the fattest it's been for 50 years.
Yeah.
And then it will be on someone just walking down the street minding their own business, and that'll be, the shot that they use for this news story. And a dread of mine is to be watching the news, and it will be like, Britain's ugliest outfit.
No!
Like that. And I'm like, that's me.
No.
I don't know if it's the same in America, but it is. Yeah, they do it with the news here, where I'm assuming because they're not showing your face, it's fine, and they can film you just walking down the street. But similarly, like real close-ups of like people's backsides, and they're like, Britain's weight problem and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my god, imagine if you're watching, you're like, that's me.
Yeah,
those are my legs. God damn it. No, we do the same. They do a lot of shots of just like panning over people and stuff like that.
Yeah, because like as soon as they show like your face, you have to sign a slip and everything, or they have to blur it out.
No, I'm very observant. If I see people with cameras, I'm like walking the other way.
Well,
is that a usual problem? A daily problem?
Well, not usually. There are
there's stuff that goes on the corners.
Well, yeah. So we start a hotel quickie where two people check in for a double room, and they make sure it's got a bath and a toilet. Like, imagine if it didn't have a toilet. Like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, if it's hotel quickie, if you're just going,
you don't need a toilet
for a quickie.
Yeah,
that's
you
don't need the toilet.
True.
It's probably cheaper, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, and then I thought it was so strange because he says, "Can we have a double room?" Which usually means a room with two beds, which I took to mean like, all right, they're gonna go fuck, but they like don't want people to know that they're about to go fuck. So then when he runs back and is like, do you have a condom? Do you have a condom dispenser anywhere in this hotel? Like, you just like ruined. I mean, you don't go to Hotel Quickie to get a good night's sleep, but you kind of ruined your whole point there.
Yeah. I mean, for us in the UK, it's a double room's double bed, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you notice how the credits looked very much like the Simpsons font? Yeah.
We
thought it looked like the Rugrats.
Right, it does look like Rugrats. Yes, it absolutely does.
Simpsons would have been maybe a little more appropriate, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's told that there's rubbers on every bedside table, to which he says, "How thoughtful." The professor tells his student Phyllis how brainy he is. He brags about it and whatnot, and that he wants to examine her. He starts begging her to take her blouse off, and she screams for him not to touch her.
Well, she's 9 points short, isn't she?
Yeah.
On her final exam.
She is, yes.
Yeah. So he's gonna let her off those points if he can have sex with her.
Yeah.
Because he's wanted it for so long.
But before he can, I'll just get out of the way now, because I'll be saying in a bizarre series of events for the rest of the episode. In a bizarre series of events.
The thing is, before this part, he says, "I don't want to force you."
Yeah.
But he is. Because
for sure, 100%.
Blackmailing her.
Well, this is also the same person then who normally when this would be covered in, maybe some other sort of movie for adults, it would be like, you go through the scenario of oh, well, I could bring your grade up, but you got to do something for me. And then all the clothing starts being removed. But he like immediately goes over to the corner, gets almost
He's like pantsless at this
point.
point.
Takes his pants off, starts to take off all his clothes. And that's when he starts explaining, your grades aren't great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely set up to make us want this guy to get killed.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the bizarre series of events, he puts a condom on, and we only see from the back. So his dick explodes and splatters all over her face, and then we get a title card over 2 American flags. It's like,
yep.
That sets the tone. That immediately sets the tone for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
the hotel room looked fucking disgusting. It looked like it really smells.
Yeah. This is definitely.
You know the floors are sticky, stained, like.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So this is definitely a play on how cinema in 1996. A lot of New York-based cinema. I'm thinking Basket Case in particular. What made New York look like an absolute shithole?
Yeah.
You know, a real dump. You know, and it's definitely a play on that. It's a play on American cinema, American culture. And that's from the get-go, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's a satire on a few things, and I think it does that really well. Because it just does something that, and I never thought I'd make this comparison with this film, but something that Paul Verhoeven does as well. You know, where he takes these little things that are in certain films, certain tropes and everything, and just completely blows them up to a completely comedic level because it's so absurd and over the top. Like a few of the other things, like the psycho thing in this later on, and the cruising, and you know, it does it really well.
And that's the European sensibility coming through, I think.
Yeah.
It's what I found in a lot of films, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I find with a lot of American films, they struggle to really parody themselves to the max, to the extreme, whereas us Europeans struggle to parody ourselves, so we aim it all at Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I have to agree with that.
Yeah,
I think
typically, even in American films, the only times that we really get like over the top parodies are when you've got, and it really comes down to the like North versus South differences. Like you would see someone who is either Southern or is just like out in the country somewhere and is usually has a Southern drawl no matter where they're supposedly from in the country. And then, you know, the people from the city are always like super uptight and like completely like type A personality germphobes. And that's really where like we will poke fun at cultures that aren't our own inside the US. And I think that's the only time where we give ourselves the permission to go like way over the top when we're self-parodying.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Troma does that a lot as well. So it's very fitting that they distributed this film.
Yeah. I think really the closest for me that came to is Team America.
Yeah.
That was really went for the jugular.
It did.
Yeah.
Whether that's aged well by modern standards,
it hasn't aged well at all. But yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I do have to say, where I got what it was trying to do, besides the premise and besides the title, was when he was really, the college professor was really honing it in that he wants to have sex with her and starts touching her breasts. And she goes, "Don't touch me." And a gust of wind blows into his face, blowing his hair.
Yeah.
And it's just like a moment, like a second of silence. And I'm like, genius. I'm on board.
One of two people in this film that can make, like, that can create wind with their voice. Like, the one later on is amazing as well. But we're at the New York City Police Department, and everyone is fuming at Detective Luigi Macaroni for smoking in a no-smoking elevator.
I love the constant smoking that he does. He doesn't give a shit where he's going, and it's really like really amping that that style of movies like crime
film
crime
noir
solvers. And I love that. I really, really like that. I also love his name, Luigi Macaroni. We were like, Luigi Macaroni. I love that.
Yeah, I love that. Like literally every time he is shown smoking in this movie, it is only when there is a no smoking sign in the background.
Yeah.
He never smokes like outside or where it's like appropriate or allowed. But I just Luigi Macaroni. And you know he's from an old family in Sicily. Did you know that?
What gave you that impression? Was it the many
Oh,
reminders?
giving
Yeah.
Sophia Petrillo, isn't it?
Yeah. Did he remind you guys of anyone? Did you think he looked like someone?
Well, he was giving me Luigi Macaroni.
Yeah.
I honestly just thought of what's the actor's name? The guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Bob Hoskins.
That's true.
Bob
That's
Hoskins.
true. We
Who
got
did you think?
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is funny because when I was younger, I always got them mixed up.
Yeah.
And I thought Phil Collins was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That'd have been a very different film if Phil Collins wasn't. Well, apparently not. I mean, he does look like Bob Hoskins.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
See the similarities.
when he's walking through the police station, someone says macaroni, some pimp. Now, at first, I didn't know his name was Macaroni at first, and I thought someone was using it as an expression to say how shocked they were about something.
Yeah, I was the same way. It took me a while to realize that his name, like someone had to refer to him directly as Detective Macaroni when I finally put it together that was his actual name.
Yeah.
Imagine being at work and like something pissed you off. You're like, macaroni. Actually, that kind of works, to be fair.
Well,
I feel like you need to add a holy in there. Holy macaroni.
Someone informs him that some pimp on 42nd Street put his mother-in-law in a clothes dryer and threw it out the window. And they want to know if he wants the case, but before any more could be said about that, he's given the killer condom case and is told that Phyllis bit off the guy's dick whilst she tells another cop about how the condom did it and ran away after. Macaroni tells Phyllis' parents.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that the one way that you know that could never actually happen is, well, there's really two ways, I guess. New York apartments in the 90s didn't have clothes dryers in them. And there's no windows on New York apartments that are big enough to throw a clothes dryer out of with a human inside.
Wait, no. Like the line of clothes dryers, right?
No, I took it as a literal like a clothes dryer machine that the guy stuffed his mother-in-law into and threw it out the window.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how I read that.
Yeah.
What we would call a tumble dryer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would be, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to have seen it actually happening in the film, but
That's where the Troma distribution comes in, because if this was an actual Troma production, first of all, Phyllis would have been topless. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
and we would have seen the dryer go out the window.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this. It's for a film called Killer Condom. There's not a lot of what I would have expected. A lot of the TNA, let's be honest.
Well, especially with the
have
poster as well.
expected,
The
yeah.
poster really makes it look like
From
it's-
Troma. And this is one of the cases where Troma probably would have shown the mother-in-law being stuffed in a dryer and thrown out the window.
Yeah.
It would have looked like it cost £2.50, but they would have shown it.
Well, I mean, I think this is why it's important that we say we watched the German version, because I think there is an American version out there somewhere. The version that Troma released. Now, I don't know if they changed much up in that. With it being Troma, they probably just added a bunch of fart noises and nudity, like here and there.
Yeah.
Now, question. I wanna like confirm. So, where did you guys watch the film?
We watched it on YouTube. It was pretty much the only place we could find it.
Okay, because I saw a note that they used the song "Killing Me Softly" a few times.
Yes.
Right?
Just a few.
And I saw a note here that apparently this was used in the American release version by Troma only, but it was not present in the original German version of the film.
Oh, okay. So maybe this is the American version. then,
So
for that
we might
film.
have seen the American version.
Mhm.
Yeah, just with the German audio.
But so Killing Me Softly is Roberta Flack.
Yeah.
Yes.
The version I feel like I heard in the film wasn't the original Roberta Flack version.
No, I thought it was the Fugees version with Lauryn Hill.
It sounded a little like
Yeah.
the 50s version.
Yeah.
But then later on, they used a version with rapping that wasn't the Fugees version. It was a different rap. It didn't have the one time part, 2 time.
I feel like they use about 5 different versions of that
The
same song.
chokehold
Yeah.
that Killing Me Softly had on this film is incredible.
Well, I thought they were like, oh, they managed to get the rights and they're gonna use it for all they have. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do Americans listen to from a German perspective in
Yeah.
1996? What's big in America? Killing Me Softly, yeah. Revert Black,
I mean,
definitely.
I'm gonna give it up to them because I was like, oh, I love this song.
Yeah.
So they got
Very
me. They were right
pleasantly
on point with that.
Yeah. So we're introduced to Phyllis's parents. Macaroni tells them and a lawyer about what happened, which causes her mum to faint. And he then, for some reason, explains about the clothes dryer incident and how kids just like to try anything these days.
Oh my god.
They
Well,
explain
and then,
that
of
Phyllis is a
course-
good girl. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say also this is another thing where like, is this really what people think Americans are like? Because her dad is from a town apparently called Farmville, Oklahoma, and walks in wearing a giant cowboy hat.
It wasn't that giant. It was just a cowboy hat.
It was a big hat.
But hey, they do wear them. They do. Maybe not to the police station, but
And so this is where like I wish that I spoke German fluently so I could be like, did they give him a southern accent while speaking German somehow?
Yeah,
I'd like to know.
I noticed that the Phyllis's mother looked like she was ready to go to church at any moment.
Oh, yeah.
She was prepared. If she had to run to church, she was ready.
Well, and she had to run to church after what they just learned.
Yeah. Macaroni gives a film noir style voiceover about what it's like living in New York whilst he's walking through New York. And some of my favorite dialogue is like, even good girls from Oklahoma end up biting off some guy's dick.
yeah.
He's giving Rudy Giuliani, I feel. Like New York needs cleaning up.
I would say 90s era Rudy Giuliani, because
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani of today is
We
not
gotta
something
be
you want to
specific.
evoke.
New York needs cleaning up. No porno cinemas. It's a shithole. Rudy Giuliani, not the masked singer.
Oh my god.
Well, and the one other thing before we move on that I just want to elevate in the same way that we elevated when she yelled at at her professor and his like there was the wind in his face. Did you guys catch the woo? It's like
when
she
she
was
fainted.
fainting.
The sound effects in this movie are genius.
Did you not get that when she fainted?
No.
No, yeah, there was like a woo. No.
Oh.
Oh my god.
It's great. It's really great. Macaroni goes to Hotel Quickie, where Bobette absolutely serving in drag throughout this film. Do you agree?
Yeah, Babette serves many looks.
Yeah.
She serves something.
She does serve it. She didn't serve behind the microphone though, does she?
Well, she's
really?
lip syncing.
Yeah, it's lip syncing to
But
Killing Me
is she?
Softly.
She is lip syncing.
Well,
Yeah.
so her lip syncs get better throughout the movie.
Oh yeah.
The
yeah.
first
Yeah.
one, like she wasn't even trying to move her lips.
No.
I will say, and I don't know if I'm the. I think we kind of agree that the Bobette character, which I do love that they're infusing drag into it, which is like part of the culture, but not all of it is 100% like ages well. for
Yeah,
today.
no, I completely agree.
Like there's so much to this movie that really is like refreshing to see, especially for like 96 and this kind of film. But I think this aspect is a little like, you know?
especially the conversation coming up as well. It's weird because I kind of feel like they're I feel like I don't know if they're trying too hard, and it's just getting a bit too messy with this character. Because I mean, it hasn't aged well by modern standards. You know, in 1996, I'm not sure how it would have been back then, but by modern standards, there's a few problems with the way they deal with this character. I feel there's a few satirical elements on Psycho here, where I feel like they're trying to rip fun at that. I mean, obviously with the shower scene later on, of course, but the whole, you know, constantly going on about how Luigi looked at her as his mother, and that's why he wanted to sleep with her. It's just, it just doesn't really sit well in 2022, doesn't it?
No.
Yeah, and also the aspect of like how Luigi treats Bobette throughout the whole film, but there is a little bit of an arc for Luigi. But I think at first he treats her like shit, and then constantly doesn't accept the fact that, you know, his name is Bobette.
It's an interesting treatise on transphobia in the gay community, but it's also I mean, in terms of the language used, I do think that at the time it was probably the language that was being used generally within the community. I mean, you look at like RuPaul songs from that time, and they very much are steeped in that same language, to the point that like some of RuPaul's earlier works just can't be played anymore because it's not up to today's standards.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's played for laughs. So I think a lot of it as well. The Luigi constantly referring to Bobette as Bob. You know, we get it, but it happens throughout it becomes tiring. Yeah. By the end, like, we get the joke. Okay. Yeah. You know.
But this was very much of the age of comedians dressing up in drag as like humor, you know, which is like I totally get like why that is very, very big on it. But I do like that it was very consistent throughout the whole film, that, you know, she was referred as Bobette and was dressing up in looks and drag throughout the whole film, and it wasn't just like I put it on and off here and there.
Well, and at the end we did start to see Luigi start to refer to her as Babette and correct other people. Well, he did it once and then dead named her again after the fact. But it was like, it was, you know, there was some progress.
It definitely attempted it.
Spoiler alert: Babette doesn't die.
That's refreshing.
She survives, which is which is I suppose good for 96.
The hotel manager wants to know why prostitutes are biting off dicks means they make their living off of dicks. The manager he's absolutely fuming. The incident's room business for him. The room is covered in blood. He can't fix it. And Luigi wants the key to the room, and he just keeps going on and on about how terrible of an incident this was, until Luigi says, "Did you know the little cock chomper was underage?" And then this makes him give him the key.
Oh my god!
The room was not very covered in blood, though.
No,
I mean, but at least I should say, at least the blood didn't change visibly the room at
No, it had
for what we were shown. Because then he brings Billy up with him, and they proceed to like almost start doing stuff in this room that he's there investigating, and that is supposedly covered in blood.
He's very dedicated to his work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This is where we get the whole conversation that we just mentioned with Bobette, who explains about the history that she has with macaroni, and she also says she's singing at the hotel, she's hoping to get to Hollywood. But yeah, they talk about the fling they had and how Bobette still has feelings for him, and that he only had sex with her because she reminds him of his mother, etc., etc. Macaroni's not having any of it at this point, which is definitely, you know, a bit problematic for our protagonist.
Well, the joke is Babette dresses up to look like Luigi's mother, and that's so that the outfits that she's wearing are to look like Luigi's mother. Yeah, which we see Luigi's mother later. She looks absolutely nothing like
a little too flashy for a Sicilian mother.
I actually think that like it would have been a really funny inclusion if when they shot back to the picture, if it was that same actor just like wearing a different outfit.
That would have been a great touch if they did that. That definitely
Yeah.
would have helped it along a bit. Also, this is going on. We hear "You Can't Hurry Love" by Diana Ross and the Supremes in the background, which is like, do you know what? This soundtrack is just giving me everything.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was their version.
It was, yeah.
Is it really?
It was the actual version.
Wow.
Yeah. So if there is a budget for this film, that's where it went.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say.
giving Miss Ross a bit of money to appear in Killer Condom. You
Exactly.
know. A younger gay guy named Billy follows Macaroni to room 308, and they both get undressed. Billy is impressed by Macaroni's 38 centimeters penis.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I did have to ask Cody, like, all right, how much is that? How big is that? Which is, I think, a little over 12 inches. I think.
Yeah, it's a little over 12 inches,
Okay.
and
Which is big.
I lost it. Completely lost it when he took his dick out and you just see the shadow across Billy.
I need to turn that into a meme somehow, like a GIF, and use it whenever possible.
Yeah.
Like,
But also, Luigi's quite a short man,
He is, yes.
so it must be very close to the floor. I was gonna make a joke, but I yeah.
wait, what?
A
Well,
joke
I was
worse than
gonna
anything we've said on this podcast before.
Suggest that when he sits on the toilet, it gets wet.
Anyway, the condom.
That's why he's so angry all the time. It's just that big dick.
The condom beside the bed starts moving and making noises, and the noises are amazing. It's like
They're so adorable.
Yeah. Billy decides not to use it and to use his own condom, which causes the condom to run away. All of this happens whilst we get a rip-off of the Jaws theme song as well.
Yeah.
Macaroni pulls out a lighter to the moving condom, and we just see that it launches towards the camera with its teeth out. In a really great shot. And then Macaroni's in hospital after, still smoking.
Still whipping out cigarettes.
Sam visits him, who is he his partner? He's just a colleague.
I think it's his partner because they share an office.
Yeah.
He visits him, and Macaroni tells him all about the killer condom.
Did you notice how the other patient in the room flatlines?
I was gonna say that.
And no one notices.
It was so funny because Sam just walks in and you hear him flatline and none of them react. Nurses do not run into the room. It's just
Even when the doctor comes in, she does not address it.
Well, and the flatline goes for like 2 seconds, then it just goes quiet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the other guy's just dead, isn't he?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Just died there, and just no one cared. Yeah, he tries telling Sam all about the killer condom. Sam thinks he's used it as an excuse for hooking up with another call boy. More couples have sex in Hotel Quickie straight after this, and are attacked by the killer condom.
Did you notice Dr. Rifleson comes in and
Yes.
tells Macaroni off for smoking?
No, I'm glad you said that, because at this point, I didn't think it was important to put Dr. Rifleson in my notes. So I thought, oh, she's just going to be a throwaway character.
Yeah.
She's going to come back again. Wow.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna spoil the film anyway. So Dr. Rifleson, I kind of guessed was the killer, simply because of her IMDb. Because on the killer condom IMDb, she's very high up. And throughout the film, I'm like, she's only in one scene. She's got to come back, you know. I think she's a fairly famous actress as well in Germany.
Okay.
Well, she's got a picture on IMDb, so she must be fairly famous.
Yeah.
She's not a grey box. So in my head, I was like, Dr. Robinson's definitely involved because she's so high up on the IMDb credit. That's the problem with modern technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or just being a nosy prick.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I'm thinking way too much into things.
Don't worry, Cody does the same thing.
I
Once he
do.
sees an actor who's like, I know that person, immediately goes to IMDb, and I have to like smack his hand.
there's an art to it where you can find out what else they're in without viewing anything about the movie.
Though,
that you're
you know what's
watching.
funny is that every time I try to look up someone from Doctor Who, you do not let me.
Yes. Well, because like
We're on a journey on completing Doctor Who.
Nice. Nice.
there's,
you watch
there's
Doctor
too much
Who?
that'll be spoiled.
I've never watched
You know-
Doctor Who.
Interesting.
I watched one season. I watched the Christopher Eccleston one, mainly because I loved Billy Piper. But
Mhm.
I really enjoyed that season. And
Are you starting from the very beginning? Are you going to
We
Tom
were-
Baker?
No, we started from Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah.
So if just for context, Billy Piper was a pop star here in the UK, had a few
Mhm.
number one hits, wasn't originally an actress, and very teeny, boppy sort of Britney Spears style.
Really?
Yeah, I recommend you Spotify or YouTube her songs because they're amazing.
yeah,
So
and
she did that before Doctor Who?
before Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So she wasn't known as an actress before Doctor Who, and then did Doctor Who, and now she's become an actress, and she does a lot of acting now.
yeah.
Yeah. So I highly
loved her.
recommend- if you like your teeny bopper music, I suggest starting with because we want to.
Well, a bigger song.
Her biggest song, her debut song.
Which one?
We want to.
Because you want to. Okay.
We-
I'm gonna
we-
listen.
Yeah, we'll listen to it.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
listen to it.
Yeah, you should. You should. It gets everyone turn of a certain age in the UK.
Yeah,
If you're a certain age,
It's-
because we want to, we'll get you any party going.
yeah.
Definitely.
It's probably like when Stars Are Blind when that comes in.
Oh, that Paris
Oh,
Hilton song. Yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah,
All the
yeah.
time. All the time. So, yeah, we see more couples having sex in Hotel Quickie, getting killed by the killer Condom. And we find out that 13 guys lost their dicks whilst Macaroni was in hospital. But Sam refuses to believe that it's true. How long was he in hospital for?
But 4 other penises were bitten off the night that Phyllis.
That's true. That's true.
The whole Phyllis situation. So it's not just one. I thought it was just one killer condom going around.
Me too. Yeah.
Because it's called killer
Mm.
condom and not killer condoms.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being pedantic there, but but I thought there was one going round, but there's loads of them.
Yeah.
So who shouts 13 pricks? I mean, all I've got is a note that says 13 pricks.
That is Macaroni, who says they've taken 13 pricks and 1 ball.
That's my dating history there.
Was this was this also the same thing where he like starts going into like how it's his like Macaroni's never let something like this go, and I'm like, is this like the Macaroni family slogan, like the Lannisters always pay their debts, the Macaronis always get revenge when you eat the ball?
Well, yeah, because later on he's even like, no one does this to a Macaroni. No one takes a Macaroni's ball and gets away with it.
It's like, what? I'm also surprised, like, with a dick that big, how do you miss the dick?
Yeah.
Well, I think it was just, his trained detective reflexes. He was able to like twist out of the way, and he only lost a testicle.
All right.
Yeah, because surely there must be quite a height difference between, unless there's some low-hanging fruit there. Let's not
could
put
be.
too much into it. Let's not.
We're all thinking it now. We're all thinking
Yeah.
the listeners are thinking it now. This is just
You can't not think about it while watching this movie. Like,
Yeah.
all you're thinking is just like penises throughout this whole movie.
it's like
Sense of
like
endearment.
it's like the what you don't see scares you thing, except it's what you don't see just makes you more curious about the size of a penis. The same
Yeah,
thing.
if
Yeah. I was
this
like,
movie can either like make you horny or not horny.
Yes. He pulls his balls out to show Sam what happened. That's when he starts shouting about 13 pricks and 1 ball. And this is when we get the start of the whole Sam and a lot of other people immediately jumping to blame it on Billy.
Yes.
Which is
He
when
quote chewed your plums.
yeah, he chewed your plums. This is, I think, believe where the allegory for the AIDS epidemic comes in. Because obviously, you know, with the media, they just tried to demonize homosexuality as much as they could. But you know, that kind of comes across here with every character immediately just jumping straight to, oh, it's the gay guy, it's his fault, it's the gay guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. How I saw it is the ignoring the actual issue.
Ignoring the issue, yeah.
So for a very long time, like Ronald Reagan, let's be honest, and his administration ignored AIDS.
Yeah.
Completely ignored it.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's how I'm looking at this, is that somebody's telling Sam, this is the issue. You know, I know this is the issue. I was there. I've lived through it. And the blame's been either it's been ignored or the blame's been put somewhere else. That's how I read that.
No, absolutely. I completely agree on how, you know, the police are taking, like, they're pretty much taking light of it, ignoring it, turning it to the side. We already know who it is. It's either like Billy or anyone who's like, you know, doing sex work currently, and they think that's awful, that's bad, so they just rather just solve it like that and move on.
Well, at one point in this movie, didn't the police chief say, well, it's only been gays and hookers so far? I didn't think anyone would care. I'm like, that's like legit though.
And they even, like, I think they move on to another case, or they offer another case, and like, no, I think Macaroni's like, I want to still do this case. Which again, I think Luigi, even though he has some flaws, certain places, I think he is a great protagonist who's like openly gay and willing to work to solve what's going on here and not just move it to the side, which is really great and refreshing to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, especially like when it comes to later on, and you got like the doctor and Sam like saying to him, "Oh, you should get yourself a wife," and you know, trying to make him go straight. And any other film in 1996 dealing with something like this, the character probably would have got himself a wife, probably would have got himself a girlfriend. It probably would have moved on, you know, and it would have been a phase. But in this film, it just reinforces the fact that no, this is a gay protagonist, and he is gay. Nothing is changing about that. This is who he is, and I really appreciate that. I thought that was really, really refreshing. Yeah, and for a film about killer condoms, a premise as ridiculous as that, to deal with, you know, commentary on the era of the AIDS epidemic when it was at its worst and whatnot, that's impressive. Really, really impressive.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really smart, because you kind of, I mean, I didn't know what I was going into. I knew that the main character was like an openly gay detective, which was like, oh, okay, let's see what's going on here. But it's all like masked with like this killer condom, and it's kind of going to be funny. And you kind of released all the stereotypical laughs with Babette a little bit, and maybe they used that character as a scapegoat, but because the rest of the movie is about, like, it's a kind of a little bit of a rom-com, and we're trying to, you know, have this character like Luigi be openly gay, and that's fine, and he's fighting for it, and he's gonna fall in love with this character or have some love interest too, and it's gonna be normalized, which I think was really smart. You get people to watch it for the killer condom, but you get a whole other movie at the same time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
I think with the character of Luigi as well, he's not a stereotypical homosexual character.
No.
He almost plays on the ideas of masculinity. I mean, with all due respect to the actor, he's not conventionally handsome. He's got a 30 whatever centimeter penis.
38 centimeter penis.
You know, he dresses masculine, or, you know, as the film noir characters would dress, who were seen as very masculine. Someone like Humphrey Bogart, you know, was the height of masculinity in American cinema. back in the day. So I think it's very much playing on that ideal with an American cinema, and making him openly, unapologetically homosexual, I think is very refreshing to see.
Which is also nice because a lot of gay films, most characters you see are absolutely ripped. They all have abs, and six packs, and they're ridiculously, unrealistically handsome. So to see a film led by someone that's the opposite of that is a really nice change.
Yeah, because you kind of expect someone like the actor who played Billy to be the lead detective and the one going through all this, but you're not. And honestly, it doesn't bat an eye on that. Like, Luigi is fully nude at some point. You see his ass, you see his belly, you see everything there, and there's no one bats an eye for it, which is like great. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Luigi's always
refreshing.
The one being praised.
Yeah, and I think it's refreshing also to see that, like, he not only is he the one being chased, whereas normally, the protagonist would be the one going after the attractive person who, by all conventional wisdom would be, out of their league or whatever. And not only that, but you also have someone who is like actively rejecting sex at multiple opportunities, where gay people, especially I think back at that time, were seen only as people who just wanted to fuck and didn't care about love, whereas he's like, I'm reduced to a person who has a giant penis, and sometimes I just want someone to come home to.
I know, I feel that all the time. Anyways.
Relatable content.
They're speaking to me. This movie speaks to me.
A bold thing to say in front of the person who you do come home to every day.
Listen, we're not going to talk about it right now. We're not going to talk about it.
We get another amazing voiceover from Macaroni, where he says, "We're constantly being presented with new concepts. Internet, cyberspace, take that." It's like, take that? I didn't know take that
were they big
translated to Germany?
I feel like it's probably something that gets lost in translation.
Yeah.
Do you not know what take that?
I don't. That? I have no idea what it could be a reference to.
They are
British boy band from the 90s.
Absolutely queer baiting.
They were very much queer baiting at the beginning. Well, actually, for a while.
They just use lots of body oil, tight leather clothes.
They didn't.
Oh my god, I'm just looking at their pictures right now.
Yeah.
Do you know Robbie Williams?
Yes.
That's
the one familiar face in there.
Yeah.
Oh, except one guy. Wasn't he on the X Factor?
Gary Barlow, yeah.
Yes, I know his face.
Yeah, he's yeah, we're not the biggest fans of him in the UK, are we?
We don't. No, we're not. You're not. You're not.
Speaking for the whole UK.
Yeah, we speak on behalf of the UK.
You went.
Don't worry,
apparently we're speaking for the US.
Yeah, this is the official ambassadorship.
Well, he sold way more records than we've ever sold, but we can still say that we all hate him.
He just does really awful. These days,
give us juicy details.
Yeah, well, these days he's reduced to doing really bad covers on YouTube. And I mean, this is a guy who's made money of being such a great songwriter and a great vocalist. But these days, the covers he does on YouTube, it's something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Gary, Gary, not Gary.
This guy. Okay.
I don't know. Gary was a big Backstreet Boys fan. So I think the boy band versus competition maybe has gotten to you a little bit.
Take that didn't touch the not even close.
I'm not against take that wholly.
I'm not against take that.
I like early take that. I am very, very hipster. I like early take that. I don't like modern take that.
Do they still make music?
It's been a few years. It's been a few years, but they had a big comeback. So they broke up in the late 90s, and floods of tears. They had to.
It's all over the news.
They had to open up phone lines for
Genuinely.
young girls who were so upset that Take That had broken up. Like they were huge in the UK.
Yeah.
So it must have translated to Germany.
Apparently.
But yeah, they broke up. Well, and then they got back. Robbie had a really successful solo career,
yeah.
and then they got back together in the late 2000s
Yeah.
without Robbie, and they were just as successful, really.
But then he got back again with him, and now there's only 3 of them.
Yeah, now there's only 3. Oh, very complicated.
Yeah.
Very complicated.
It feels like a
It's a
very
bit like
Backstreet
NSYNC.
Boys history, though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they also like got back together recently.
Well, I think it's kind of a little bit like Spice Girls because some of them get together all
yeah.
the time, but Posh is always like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah. She can't be bothered.
She can't be bothered.
Can't be bothered.
I'm a brand now.
I will say Gary Barlow looks much better now with a beard than he did in the early Take That days. I'm seeing some photos.
If you're presently Googling, I suggest Take That, Do What You Like music video. If you really
Is that
want
the gayest one?
that is the gayest. That is the
Oh
gayest.
my god.
Oh my god.
It's
I
essentially
see what you mean by queer baiting.
That is,
I always thought Robbie Williams?
Yeah.
yeah.
I did think he was gay for a good amount of time, but no, he has a wife and stuff. Great though. That's fine.
Yeah.
So moral of the story, yeah, we saw Take That and we were like, we do not understand. We just moved on.
No.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Do you understand now?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. This gay character bringing up Take That in 1996. When the internet wasn't around to tell him they were queer banging. Macaroni discusses how he just can't get Billy off his mind, and whilst walking home, he just wants love. He doesn't want sex. Billy waits for Macaroni at his apartment and tells him he'd like to see him again, but then Macaroni tells him he thinks he's too old for great love stories, but he'd like to have sex with him again once his balls have recovered.
I've heard that before.
I mean, he should have just gone for it. Not from me. Just put that out there.
Oh my god! It's like just give me a few days, okay?
I'm fine. If anyone's concerned, I'm fine.
This is the bad part about making jokes with our like partners right beside us.
Macaroni. Now, this is another scene that really reinforces that HIV/AIDS allegory, where Macaroni shows Sam live security camera footage of Bobette taking part in some bondage with another guy in the hotel room next door. I think they're in the same hotel, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in Hotel Quickie. And you can see the killer condom moving in the background, but Sam's just like, "Are you fucking kidding me? That's Bob. Oh my god, what has happened to Bob?" It's like there's literally a killer condom there, and you're refusing to see that because you are more horrified that Bobette, this previous cop, has now transitioned. That's what you're so horrified about, and you're refusing to see this killer condom. You know, I thought it was a really good scene for it. No subtlety, but sometimes you don't need it, and because it really worked.
Well, yeah, they really hammered home that how this character really is, especially when given like, okay, this is what you're doing. Because to Luigi, he's like really like, oh yeah, this is fine, this is normal. I'm just looking at like what's actually important. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like that it wasn't subtle and that I needed to like remember that not to get lost in the whole like funny haha moments of it, but like actually a little bit of reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a little bit of the humor. I like John Waters style humor, where
Didn't I say
so
that?
You did.
ridiculous that you can't help but laugh.
Yeah.
And the Babette being tied up, hanging from the ceiling. I mean, it's so ridiculous, and you're surprised that they've shown you this. That there is humor in it because it's so far fetched.
Yeah.
Which is probably the whole film, actually. To be
Yeah,
fair.
Macaroni bursts into the room and shoots the condom, but it's just a normal one. It's not one of the killer
Oh
condoms.
no.
But he does find another room.
Oh no, a cock shooting the wrong
No,
condom.
yeah.
Wow.
No.
Thinking with his gun first. Wow. When did that ever happen?
He then is there anything this film doesn't touch on? Like,
I'm not sure if I'm putting that on.
no,
I'm not
I
sure
mean
if was their
that's
intention.
absolutely that looks that way. It definitely looks
Yeah.
that way. Yeah, he finds another room. Eventually, he goes through a few different rooms where he can hear screaming. And eventually,
Well, this part was really funny. It was like this was so good, like a good comedic setup. Was like he hears screaming, but it's because there's so much different sorts of screaming going on in every room he goes into.
Well, he eventually finds the room that he was looking for, where another guy's dick's been bitten off by the condom. He then chases the fucking condom down the hallway, shooting it, but it escapes and leaves the dick behind. To which one of the extras says, "That's a cock."
Yeah.
The one line that she had was like, "That's a cock."
Yeah.
I would love to be that role.
And then the partner of the guy whose dick got cut off runs over, sits down in the chair, and then looks at it and screams.
Yes. It's incredible.
I love it.
Such a great scene. So good. I mean, as if watching him chase the condom down a hallway wasn't ridiculous enough already. You get that, the entire scene is amazing. His boss tells him to stay off the case or remove his badge, and then this is when we get no one takes away a macaroni's jewels and gets away with it.
Yep.
This is very much a parody of cop films.
Yeah.
There's always that moment at the station where they've either been sacked or told to go on leave or something like that, and they start shouting at people.
Yeah.
Essentially. Can't remember what, but they start shouting.
No, there's a lot of films. There's a lot of films.
I swear, Lethal Weapon. In at least one of the Lethal Weapons, this happens.
Macaroni finds a wanted poster for Billy in the station, and Sam tells him that he's put a warrant out for his arrest because of him chewing on Macaroni's plums. Again, more of this ignorance from Sam. And again, that's something else. It doesn't try to redeem Sam. Like, he has his moments where he's like, when he realizes, oh, I'm sorry, but still, this Billy, and it's like he never stops. And even at the end, like the vet says to him, you're just a fucking homophobe. Like that again, not having this magic moment where he realizes he's not homophobe. It just adds to the reality of it.
That was actually pretty surprising because by the end, I'm sure we're going to get to it, but by the end, so much has happened and he kind of has to thank, Luigi a little bit, but no, it's not even, it's still not the case, which is, true. It's true.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like he's put a warrant out for Billy's arrest for Luigi.
No, of course not.
It doesn't feel like he's doing service for Luigi.
No.
He's saying he is, but it doesn't come across that. It comes across that he's just trying to vilify Billy.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't like gays and probably doesn't like the relationship that could potentially happen between Luigi and Billy.
Well, because the wanted poster says he's wanted for crimes against nature. That's there's only one thing that is referring to.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you on this podcast permanently, so you can just find these little details for us.
This is the first time that we've done subtitles.
Yeah.
We usually have them on in case we miss a word or.
Well, it's our first foreign language.
This is our first foreign language film with subtitles.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I fucking struggled. And I like to think I'm not a moron, but having to type up notes and then keep an eye on what was being said on the screen.
It was hard.
It was tough.
I would have to tell Cody if I was writing something down or looking something really quickly, being like, Cody, what are they saying? So he would say it out loud.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was on my own to take the notes, but we had just done this for the audition.
For the movie audition.
Yeah.
So we're pros now, I guess.
And that was pretty much the same. But I actually, having just said that, the wanted poster in this German film was in English.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Why?
Oh yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah,
Actually, I don't know why. I will say though, the subtitles for the this YouTube video, and I guess for anyone else out there, by this time, if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and watch the whole film.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there were points where like the white meshed with like anything white background, I was just like, what does that say? Like, it's
Yeah.
a little hard.
Macaroni finds 2 cups at Billy's place while searching for him. He has Red Hot Chili Peppers, Beavis and Butthead posters, and a Miss
Yep.
Piggy doll. Like, just to remind you, it's the 90s.
Yeah.
America. What do American guys have on their walls?
That's where it's like, what do young American guys are
do,
into?
do you guys not go to sleep with a Miss Piggy doll?
No,
No,
but I
no,
did like
not for a
Beavis and
while,
Butthead.
No. I think they were like, so he is American and young, so let's have Beavis and Butthead and Red Hot Chili Peppers. But he's also gay, so let's have Miss Piggy. Yeah.
He plays Billy's.
Well, I had Audrey Hepburn on my wall
were
when
they?
I was younger. Yes, my dad did give me a funny look when I purchased it. That was my
That's so
poster.
funny.
So yeah, okay. That was a giveaway. Should have had Miss Piggy.
Macaroni plays Billy's answering machine, which has a bunch of messages from other guys who have slept with him and want to see him again.
Relatable.
There's one that's like, so I need to see you again. My wife and kids can't know though. And there's like another one that was like, I brought an army outfit this time to try out.
Well, that one with the wife and kids. Did you guys catch that he said call us again, just not my wife?
Oh,
No,
What does
I
that
didn't
mean?
know.
all I got was sweet ass. And
Yeah.
all I got was sweet
Macaroni takes a shower whilst doing a voiceover about not knowing whether or not he wants love. When Babette picks his lock, takes a knife to the shower, and does a full-on Psycho reference where I don't even think this was a rip-off of the Psycho theme. I think they genuinely used
Yeah,
Psycho.
it was just the theme. You know that knife was bigger than the little clutch that she had too, right? She had a full-on magic
absolutely.
trick.
Yeah. She's there to have sex with him and has brought condoms, but her bag starts moving and making noises, and of course the killer condom is there. And we get a rather elaborate setup for a condom death scene.
Oh my
where,
god, this
Macaroni-
scene.
Yeah, he shoots the bag at first, but the condom escapes, and he tries shooting it around the apartment. So he gets Bobette to hook up a hose to the gas and tries to make the condom bite it, thinking it's his dick. It works. I mean, this condom's seen a lot of dicks. How did it fall for that?
That's
Yeah.
the question.
But it works, and the condom just keeps getting larger. Babette can't turn off the gas, and the condom fucking explodes. I mean, what a death scene.
But we do see from the point of view of the condom.
We do, yeah.
And the
I was gonna
eyesight
bring that
isn't
up.
great.
It's
We do have a pair of glasses, so I think that's maybe why. Maybe the condom didn't have contacts in.
No.
I love that.
Yeah, great scene, really great scene. And the autopsy that follows is just as great. So Wilma's doing the autopsy. She's got a cigarette on the go, like everyone else in this film, and explains the condom is artificial and was created by someone as a cross between a giant worm, jellyfish, and piranha.
I mean, it does look like a sandworm from Dune.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll be able to watch Dune the same way after this movie.
It does actually. Now you say that, it really did look like the worms from Dune. You not think?
Did H.R. Geiger? He wouldn't have had anything.
He might have had
with
something to do
that.
with. He may have. He may have had something to do with it. Do you think he designed? Which one do you think he designed first? Dune was way before this, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely what it's given me as well. Sam apologizes for not believing Macaroni, but goes on to tell him how he doesn't like Billy because he's a hustler and how he thinks Macaroni should go straight. But Macaroni's having none of it, and he tells him he's not interested in women, he just wants men. Are you researching HR guy?
I am, sorry.
It's okay, Sergio's doing the
I
same
actually
thing.
am too. I like how like this is a very actually pretty important scene because
Meanwhile, I'm with you here. I also agree. This was great to see him really stand up for himself and say, because it does point out something interesting that like Sam is like, no, it's not that he's a guy. It's that, you know, he's a criminal and he does drugs, even though it's only weed.
Yeah.
And I just think he's not good for you. You should just get yourself a good woman. Like that felt very like something that you would hear from like your family member who doesn't want to just like straight up rebuke you for being gay. They just don't want you to end up with a guy. Like just end up with a girl and like your life would be so much easier. Like,
yeah, honestly, Scott, I had the exact conversation with someone that I knew, like this exact conversation of someone telling me that it was upsetting a certain family member that I was gay and that I should go straight because it's not fair on them. And it's kind of like when I was watching this, I was like, whoa, relatable content or what? You know, this happens. People talk like this. It's ridiculous, but people genuinely talk like it. It's crazy.
But it's such a good point in the movie where we already know what kind of guy Sam is. Sam, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam is, and at this point, I feel like there are moments where like I feared that it was gonna get a little too preachy, but no, it was like he was legitimately like, go fuck yourself, but in much better words.
Yeah. It leads to him doing a voiceover about how he's unsure if New York City is right for him and if his mother would approve of his lifestyle. This is when we get the little what would you call this? I think it was a flashback, was it, where we get to see his mum?
Yeah, and I think this is a good time for us to also point out the like really stereotypical like strings music that plays in the background every time he goes back in Sicily. This is what it would have been like.
Was it given The Godfather?
Maybe.
Yes.
Yes. It was given The Godfather.
Very mafia.
Yeah.
Picture it, Sicily.
We get more killer condoms crawling out of a drain. A lady sits on a bench in a park and is attacked by a condom that jumps out of a bin and attaches itself to her nose.
I had to say this out loud during watching. Was like, so are we making like a big nose penis joke here? Like
this almost feels like anti-Semitic. Like
yeah, I was like, oh no, they went there. They went there.
Yeah, it kind of it maybe didn't come across like that actually. Yeah,
this would have been like
that's true.
This scene in particular would have worked in like an episode of Family Guy where they said something and pan to like this woman like with the skyline of New York City behind her.
Yeah.
She saves the day though.
She does save the day. She does save the day. A Republican presidential candidate, Dick McGovern,
of course,
is doing a speech and tells everyone to believe in God and morals. He's had enough of drugs and perversity and wants to make America clean again.
Ew.
That reminds me of someone. Who?
Yeah.
Yeah, Macaroni goes to visit.
Was it stated that he was Republican?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I just thought you.
Oh no! He literally said.
Republican.
I didn't know. I didn't know that until after the fact because I think in a broadcast they were like they attacked Republican. Person. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and I was also a little bit confused because there was a presidential candidate with the last name McGovern in the U.S. in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
He was like, he lost, I think to Nixon, and he lost really, 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 really badly.
Because his dick was blown off?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
No. But that's why I was a little confused, like why they were almost invoking that image for this guy.
Yeah. I wonder if that was intentional then.
I don't think so, because his last name is spelled differently, and we see his name spelled. There was like in this movie there was a U in it somewhere, but
yeah. Well, if he lost to Richard Nixon, and this guy's first name's Dick, do you think that they're trying to go for a bit of both there? Dick McGovern?
Maybe. Or maybe they just, once he loses his dick, spoiler alert, he's just McGovern.
Yeah.
And McGovern lost by a landslide.
Yeah.
And this Dick McGovern, now he's lost his dick, is told that he's going to lose by a landslide. Ooh.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like,
so much thinking for this film. Wow.
I know.
We get Killing Me Softly with his song again.
Nice.
When Macaroni goes to visit Bobette.
Wait, is that one time? Or is it 2 times?
Thank you. Macaroni visits Bobette and brings her a gift, a travel iron.
Yes.
Useful. I mean, you got to iron your clothes.
Yeah.
I gave him a lot of credit in this scene where I did go like, oh, it's because he now, because I think he says it later on, says, you have so many clothes now, maybe you could use this. But also it could come off as like he just picked something random that he had at home and just wrapped it up.
Well, it could be either one, but it's like I feel like this is also like it at least took me back to some of the first interactions that I would have with like family members immediately after coming out, where they like
did they give you an iron?
No, but like where you have this conversation where like they're trying to be accepting and they still, you can tell they don't still get it, but like they're at least giving an attempt, and it like you just have to be like, oh, thank you, like that.
Well, your mom hasn't come up to us and been like slay queen yet.
Yes.
Macaroni.
I thought it was maybe a play on the old sort of 40s, 50s housewife, and his Luigi's persona as that manly man from the film Noir.
Yeah.
I imagine he would give his wife an iron as a gift.
Yeah,
but he doesn't view Bob as his wife. He views Bob as his mother. Everybody knows that.
And mother's iron.
That's true. Macaroni spots Billy at the hotel with a client and wants to talk to him, but is told to wait until he's done. And one of the best scenes of the film, Bobette, in her best outfit so far, performs a lip sync to a cover of Teach Me Tiger. And this is performed by a band called the Sisters Fister, but with a P, so Pfister.
Okay.
Macaroni meets Billy in the
elevator, though, right?
Yeah.
I'd never heard it before, and then it played. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm putting this on my Spotify.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love that song.
Macaroni meets Billy in the elevator and they have sex in there, and the sex is so good to the point it breaks the elevator.
Yeah, the elevator's like going like first floor, fourth floor, second, third, all over the place. And like I love that they've had a crowd like slowly gather outside the elevator, like just watching in awe. But we cannot skip past the fact that the guy that Billy was about to sleep with had his shirt tucked into his underwear with the tails coming out the bottom of the underwear.
I was like, have I been doing this all wrong this entire time? Like, but I don't mean to bring everything down, because this was a funny go back and forth between Babette like lip syncing and them having sex, but it is a little bit sad, at least from Babette's point of view. Because I feel like she's so like broken, knowing that she'll never be with Luigi, and how she performs that song. I mean, again, maybe I'm giving her a lot more credit, but like she did really sell it for me. Yeah. And it was kind of tragically beautiful. And Wow, I can't believe I'm saying that about Killer
No,
Condom.
but I agree with you. I legitimately thought from the way the scene was playing itself out that the doors were going to open and it was just going to be her looking into the two of them in an elevator. Like as soon as she gets done singing the song that's clearly like meant to be for him, that she sees him with Billy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's
but I think maybe she also realizes, because she says well done afterwards, but also realizes that it's an unhealthy relationship. That maybe, you know, she has to let go.
Yeah.
Because she's never going to have that affection that she wants, and that she'd be better off finding it somewhere else.
Wow.
It also just very reminded me of like Cabaret, like maybe this time. Well, back and forth a lot of times.
I do understand what you mean, though.
you know. They should have had that song. She should have lip synced that song.
Yeah.
They should have had Liza Minnelli playing, Babette.
Now, they definitely did not have the budget for that.
They walk out.
Maybe 20 years later.
They walk out
after Sex and the City 2.
They walk out of the elevator proudly, and everyone applauds them and congratulates them for it. I don't know if the congratulations are sincere from Babette, to be honest. I don't know.
No, I think it is. I think it's Babette letting go. And just so, okay, this is, I need to live for me now and not for Luigi.
Very, very life affirming for a film called Killer Condom. Someone slaying in a red dress goes to see McGovern in the bath. Can we talk about how amazing she looks? She looks great.
She was serving a look.
Yeah, there's a Killer Condom riding on a fucking rubber duck towards him. Jaw beams back. And he jumps off the duck, bites off McGovern's dick, and jumps out of the bath with it.
Oh my god. This is so the minute that I saw that condom on the rubber ducky, I was like, it's a rubber on a rubber. No, you said it's a rubber on a rubber. I was like, God damn it, movie.
Very, very great, very satisfying scene. Again, there's a few characters in this film where it really sets them up to the point where you're like, okay, this condom's got to get on. It's got to get on.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're assuming that the young blonde woman wasn't his wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we assuming that?
I mean, it's a Republican politician, so it's safe to assume.
No, I mean, she really dragged him later on. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
She was like, oh, it was small.
I don't even know how
small.
It sounded.
Oh yeah, that is a great scene. She's just like, yeah, he only went for a president because he had a small dick.
Damn,
two
girl.
mothers reading about the condoms in the newspaper with the headline. I think it said "Dickless Dicks," but also no matter what it said. Again, it's an English newspaper where everyone's talking German.
Yep, that's it's the same thing there. It was printed in English.
Yeah.
Which means that people who may have seen this at the original release wouldn't have gotten the joke because they wouldn't.
Whilst they're reading it, one of their kids finds a condom and starts waving it around at them.
I was like, how did they get a kid to just hold a condom like that?
Yeah. I thought, okay, this is Troma. That condom's going to eat him. It's going to eat that kid. I was convinced that was going to happen. So I was very surprised when it didn't go there.
Yeah.
What I found was the mother was horrified.
Yeah.
Because of the idea of killer condoms. But surely if your kids picked up a condom in a park anyway, even without killer condom stories going around, you're going to be horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is when we're introduced to Sally, another detective, who's brought to the station to aggressively stare at someone for an interrogation. This is where she creates more, she creates a gust of wind, and the guy she's interrogating, his hair's blowing everywhere. She
Oh, was
immediately
that
gets the
wind? I
answer.
just thought it. I thought that she inspired so much fear in him. His hair stood out straight. Do you think? And I hope that this is not me generalizing. Do you think that she is meant to be like the lesbian version of Macaroni?
Yeah,
Because
I did.
at some point
yeah.
she said, "You know, I don't touch those things." Speaking about condoms.
I immediately thought that as well. Yeah, especially with that line of dialogue. I think it's definitely implied that she's also that she's a lesbian.
Which also it makes complete sense why she seems to be so much better at her job than he is. But
yeah.
Oh, damn.
What did we think to the hair? Coconut head hairstyle.
Interesting. Yeah.
Means she's a serious person, I guess. Doesn't take any shit.
He has to do some research into the church, into the hospital church, the chapel.
Why? I missed that.
Did you?
well,
Yeah.
the guy that they were interrogating mentioned the chapel, right?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because the what's the character's name? The girl cop, the lesbian cop that we
Oh,
think
I
I did not get her name. But they also seemed like they had each other's backs, which is the other reason why I felt that she may be lesbian. That they were kind of together fighting against this institution that didn't really like buy into their lifestyle.
Well, she made him talk, right? That's
yeah.
She had like the trick to make him talk.
Oh, yeah, because that was a lot of dialogue quickly.
It was,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was when I really struggled to keep up with the
Yeah, this is when we get the woman who's with McGovern telling the cops, reading McGovern to filth. There's a news report about the killer condoms, and Macaroni's boss has to give a press conference on it, where he's just basically laughed at. The cops gather round and are informed about Professor Boris Smirnov, a guy who won a Science Academy Award for being good at creating stuff with rubbers. But he's also been kidnapped, hasn't he?
Yes. It's the idea that he's kidnapped.
Yeah.
Or they think he's been kidnapped, but they definitely think that he's behind the killer condoms.
Yeah, because they said he won some sort of award that I took to be like some version of the Nobel Prize or something like that.
I do admit at this point on, the story does start to get outlandish, because all these other elements are coming in where I'm like trying to follow. So if I ask you guys for what your thoughts are, because I'm still putting mine together, just so you guys know.
Oh yeah, no, the plot is so complex from this point onwards. Like, I just tried to shorten it down as much as I could in my notes to where it still made sense without having to repeat everything that was said.
I think it's no mistake that his name is Smirnoff.
Yeah.
In a parody of American cinema, where the potential bad guy is definitely Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definite Cold War reference there, I feel.
The boss interrupts. He's absolutely fuming. He wants them to put a plant put on the gay scene. And he wants Sam to dress up like a homosexual and investigate something that leads to a parody. It's absolutely a parody of cruising. Macaroni dresses him up like Al Pacino and some of the other guys in that film. He has a harness on. He puts a yellow handkerchief in his pocket and tells him that signals that he doesn't want to have sex and to leave him alone. He goes to a club very much like one of the clubs from Cruising, with a hat on, just like Al Pacino.
I feel like it's actual shot taken from Cruising.
Yeah.
As well. I think it's shot for shot.
He starts making eyes with this guy with a great mustache in the bar. And next minute, he's back at the police station and punches Macaroni because the guy pissed on him because of the yellow handkerchief.
Was that the same guy who pissed on him? Because what I thought is that he made connections with this guy, and then he had that flashback remembering that was the guy that he watched be in that like S&M hookup with Babette. Yeah. And he's like, I know what you're into. And then I thought that the like being like someone pissed on his leg is like just completely separate and a joke with the yellow handkerchief.
I thought it was the same because Sam, for some reason, his version of saying no is like,
Yeah.
like for some reason, it's like, no, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, what? So I thought since it kind of made him feel like, okay, that's the go ahead to do it. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same person.
So. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We get a great line of dialogue here as well, where Macaroni says to Sam, "Whatever you think of those boys, they're just trying to have fun." And then it goes to, now they're being attacked by rubbers and we have to stop it. But again, it's also somewhere it's like, yeah, okay, can you not kink shame these people whilst you're going in and investigating in a gay bar?
Yeah. So this is where we get the English dialogue. So when Sam asks, well, what would red mean? Luigi says, fist fucking in English.
In English.
So I don't know if there's no German term for fist fucking. But it's the only piece of English dialogue in this film is fist fucking.
Oh my god.
The woman who had her nose bitten off by the condom tried speaking to them in another language.
Was it Spanish?
I
Forgive
think-
me. It didn't.
I thought it was
really-
French.
French.
But I think they were trying to make it seem like it was Spanish. No, I don't know why I thought it was Spanish too.
Yeah.
But I mean, but not like I don't know.
I was confused by the fact that some other woman came over trying to help, and then that woman also didn't speak the same language. So, like, why did she go over there?
Yeah, they literally just started speaking to each other in that language. Like, she had no idea. She didn't know what to translate. Macaroni thinks that she's saying, and this is quite funny, he thinks that she's saying there's a killer condom at the hospital chapel. So he understood that much and goes there. It's a good lead. It's a good lead for a guess. Billy arrives at the station and translates what the woman is saying straight away. She spots a man on a picture that is at the hospital chapel with the condoms. So Macaroni goes to speak to Dr. Riffleson about the guy on the picture. And she tries telling him to get a wife as she presses a button under her desk.
Well, the guy in the picture is a Chinese man,
Yeah.
isn't he, as well? Which, again, your villain, in a parody of American cinema,
Yeah.
you have one Russian man and you have one Chinese man as your villains. I'm like, it's slapping you in the face. I definitely think.
The nose woman leads Sam and another cop to a secret area in the chapel. The cops enter and gunshots are heard. The Chinese man comes out and takes the woman into the secret area with him. Macaroni hears the screaming and gunshots and finds the secret area, to which he just falls down it and falls down the stairs.
This was so funny because I think we watched it like 2 or 3 times and just rewound and watched it again.
That made him giggle.
Because
Like,
you can see they like literally just had a rag doll and threw it down the stairs because you like the arms go like flailing outwards. It's so funny.
He finds Professor Smirnoff in what is an underground lab where he's making the killer condoms. And Smirnoff reveals he does it in exchange for red jelly from Dr. Riffleson.
What's red jelly?
I thought he was saying like he was trying to think of blood, but he kept saying red jelly over again. So I guess
jelly.
it's just jelly.
Well, and it seemed to me that the red jelly was produced in some way from the penises that were bit off by the condoms.
Ew.
Wait,
Oh.
are the condoms eating the dicks?
I think so.
So they have. I thought did they say that they had stomachs?
Well, they're not. I don't think they're digesting them, but the condoms bite off the penis, and then
bring it back to.
That was again. This is where, to the listeners, if you have not watched this film, this is where it gets very complicated, very, very quickly.
Well, I mean, what do you guys think? Because I don't think we really discussed like what happens after the initial attachment or biting off.
Well, we've seen a few times where they just spit the dicks out.
Okay.
But at
So
the
they're,
same time,
I mean, yeah, killer condoms, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's implied that they have one of Macaroni's balls. So,
But the intention, so as it's the big reveal and the reasoning behind it all is simply castration,
yeah,
there's no real reason for them to keep the penises.
true.
Unless
But the
for
penises are
trophy.
never found.
Yeah,
They
No.
they make it a thing to like they could never find them.
which is why, because I thought that at some point Dr. Riffleson was like, it benefits her, what she's trying to do, because the penises get bitten off, and then from that she's able to make his red jelly and give it to him.
Yeah, I thought he was eating like some sort of red infused blood.
They just put the
Dick
penises in a
sauce.
blender and then blended it, and that's what he got.
Wow. Right. Wonder what the health benefits are.
It's very keto. It's very keto.
Full of
I don't know.
omega-3.
We could be so off because we tend to do that a lot. Is be off on.
I feel like
interpreting
maybe the filmmakers just didn't want to explain.
Yeah.
Like, it's called Killer Condom. Do we really need to explain everything?
But I don't know. There is a lot of words in this sequence where he goes into a lot of detail with a lot of scientific terms and such. So I kind of feel like he did, but it was just so over the top and
But do you
complex.
think it's scientifically accurate what he's
Oh,
saying?
of course, yeah. No, obviously.
Sorry, I forgot I was sat next to Marie Curie. Excuse me, ma'am. I do apologise.
Dr. Riffleson reveals she's waiting for the return of the Lord on December 31st, 1999 to judge and
that's
punish
where
gay sinners.
And that's where I was like, did this really just all lead up to a Y2K thing?
Y2K. Yeah. That is exactly what it was going for.
Unfortunately, they couldn't afford the rights to 1999 by Prince.
Yeah.
So we get Killing Me Softly. No.
Dr. Riffleson shows Macaroni that she's kidnapped Bobette, Sam, the hotel manager, the other cop that went to investigate, and the woman without a nose. She reveals that she's created a large killer condom in a tank just for him and his 38 centimeters penis, and then orders him to get his penis out. To which Macaroni tries telling her that there isn't a god that would want all of this to happen with all the murder and everything, but she insists that he would, and that he made Macaroni to use his penis on women and create children, not to stick in young men's behinds.
Yeah. So that is the whole point. It's all a religious
it's all
thing.
religion,
It's
yeah.
born from homophobia and the need
Mhm.
for the Bible saying nothing against useless ejaculation.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So the idea is that condoms are a waste of.
Well,
Please
what
don't crop this and put this on.
what it actually is referring to is there is a section of the Bible, I think it's in Ruth, where basically there's this guy who like he masturbates and just comes on the floor instead of coming inside the woman to avoid getting her pregnant, because this is a real Bible story, because
My lord.
because he wants, if I'm remembering it correctly, he's like a prince or a king or something, and he doesn't want to have kids and his heirs to be with this woman. He wants this other woman who's much prettier, but like he has to like wait for some period of time to get together with her for reasons that I don't recall. But basically the like, and then he gets punished for spilling his seed for no reason. So
Wow.
there is some biblical root for what she's talking about.
The Bible sounds way dirtier than I expected it
That
to be.
wasn't in the greatest story ever told. Yeah, might have to give this a read. What do you call it again? Bible? Is it Danielle Steele? Filthy.
That is
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Wow.
For his pull-out game.
I like how that story has stumped us, and none of the rest of the movie. We're like,
Wow.
Yeah, Fist fucking didn't, but coming over the floor in the Bible. Billy arrives in time to distract Dr. Riffleson. Macaroni gets away from her, and Riffleson accidentally shoots Smirnoff's chains, which frees him. Smirnoff tries fighting Riffleson for the red jelly, but they both fall over and are both knocked unconscious.
No, I'm assuming Smirnoff dies at this point.
Do we see him again?
You never see him again.
Oh, okay.
This is
I don't think we do.
a very sad ending for him.
Yeah. He didn't get his red jelly.
He didn't get his cock smoothie.
He didn't, no. A condom attacks Macaroni, but Billy saves him by putting his hand in the way and then confesses his love for him. Riffleson regains consciousness and holds a gun to Billy, threatening to kill him if Macaroni doesn't jump into the tank of condoms. But
she really looked like Kate Bush.
She looked like Kate
It
Bush?
was really off-putting. I was like, oh my god, Kate Bush has lost the plot. She really did. I hate when people look too much like a celebrity because it's really off-putting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't believe Kate Bush is doing this.
So I do have a question. How do you think Billy putting his hand in the way stopped this giant condom? Because it's already been established that they are capable of eating flesh that isn't a penis because it ate the woman's nose.
yeah. Also,
And it bites his hand though, isn't it?
it does bite his hand, but also, how did his hand save the day when apparently he has like the biggest dick on the planet? So, I mean, could the
But this
condom
is
not
the
have moved
extra-
in midair?
It's the extra large condom though, isn't it?
No, I think it's a normal one that did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he could have used his penis to bat away the condom.
Ah,
If it was that big.
This is just
Ah!
this is just illogical. I can't believe it. Yeah, but it takes the chunk out of his hand.
It doesn't take the
well,
the point
it's
is
small
it didn't.
bite,
Yeah,
small bite.
Luigi does look at the hand afterwards and say, "Oh, you know, you've been bitten." I don't know what he says. I can't remember. But he says,
No, I do like I like that Billy just nonchalantly says like, "I love you, cop," and I'm like, "All right, relax."
Yeah, this is when Macaroni gives a massive speech about hypocrisies within religion and the fact that Riffleson wants to kill all these people, whereas these, all the members of the LGBTQ plus community she wants to kill, they're just living their lives and not actually harming anybody. But she thinks God wants her to kill all these people.
who are the people that start collecting?
Oh, you have
behind
no
him?
idea who those people are.
What was that?
I thought they were the patients there. I thought
Yeah.
like they somehow found their way down there.
Yeah, I mean, he says at one point, he's like, "Oh, I could see the light. I could hear the angels singing." I was like, "Are they supposed to be angels?" Like they.
And then the 12 disciples. Were there 12
Yeah.
of them?
Ooh.
It really wouldn't surprise me with this film if that's what they were going for.
A Bible story I do remember. And not half as exciting as the one that I've learned today.
Riffleson tries shooting herself, but it's a fake gun with a flag saying "I love you" coming out at the end of it. So instead, she just throws herself into the pool of killer condoms.
And dies immediately. Like
Immediately.
the
They don't even go
second she
near her.
touches the water.
Macaroni quits his job despite his boss telling him how much of a great detective he is. Whilst Sam is having a conversation with Babette, who thinks he's sexy despite being homophobic.
Yeah.
I did find it funny where his boss, Luigi's boss, says, "Oh, but you're our top guy," despite doing nothing but calling him a prick and lazy.
I know, yeah.
and shit. Like, that's definitely, again, I definitely must have been one of the Lethal Weapon
Yeah.
films where so at the end they turn to Mel Gibson, "You're our best guy, Mel." Whatever his
Well,
name is.
And I love that, like, the police captain is like, you are our best cop. How about not coming to work for a month?
Yeah. You almost died. 4 weeks? 4 weeks? Yeah, 4 weeks to do. You take 4 weeks off.
And for a really touching ending, Macaroni decides he's going to take Billy home to Sicily to meet his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Killer Condom.
That's Killer Condom.
The
What
film
a ride.
that we chose, that we sent to you guys on our list, the film that I put on the list, thinking, oh, that'll make for a fun, trashy episode. But how complex was that plot and all that commentary and everything? Way more to discuss.
I know.
than I thought. Yeah. What's
Something I did not expect from this title alone, and honestly, that's the magic of it. Is go in blind. Don't have pre-notions about it. I think that was the best way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, my only real criticism of the film is that the plot just got so complex in the last like 10% of this movie that it seemed to be like fairly easygoing, and then out of nowhere we just like went way up in complexity. I feel like you could have done the same things where it came down to like the villain just hating sinners and being very like religiously based in what they're doing, without like having to have this scientist who's Russian out of nowhere be the one making these things. Like, I don't know. I feel like there are better ways to do it, but
I liked it.
It was
I thought at some point I'm just like, just take me, movie. Just take me for the ride. Just like, I do think at some point, like in a portion of it was dragged on a little bit, but then we got there.
Yeah. I mean, a film like this has absolutely no right being an hour and 47 minutes.
Too long.
Very good. It's too long. But... Are you still not?
No. Are we still talking cocks?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. There we are. I was making valid points about this very serious film.
Yeah, well, sure.
Can we watch it either? I thought it was too long. I think some of the jokes repeated themselves, but I loved how it got in themes that I wasn't expecting. There were layers to the film that I wasn't expecting, and I love when a film does that, because if you're trying to teach a lesson, really, and it wasn't preachy, but it was trying to teach a lesson about acceptance, mainly, lure people in and then teach them a lesson that they may not have gone out of their way to want to learn. If this film was called Gay Detective, no, a lot of people wouldn't have watched the film, really. But call it Killer Condom, and people are like, okay, I need to watch this. And then they find out that it's a gay film and a positive gay film, and they may learn a little something by the end.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, even in the moments where it got like a little bit too preachy, especially at the end with his monologue, even then it was played for comedic effect, because you had that little bit where it got through, but then his inner monologue came on and was just like, man, the word just came out, guys.
Yeah, I did wish that like we had just been able to get the end of the of his big speech.
We
didn't though. It was like, because when his internal voice took over, he's like, yeah, I just like, it just took me and I just kept going. And I'm like, how long did he stand here and speak to like this crowd for?
Yeah, I'd like to hear the full version of that without the voiceover.
Yeah, I suppose it's Sermon of the Mount with the people gathering around. What did you think, Gazman?
No, I loved it. It definitely, an hour and 47 is too much. And I think the whole Babette thing, it could have been handled better. But I think overall, for a film released in 1996, it's great a lot of what happens in this film is great progress.
Every film is a product of its time. And obviously if it was made today, they would hopefully
Yeah,
do a lot of things
definitely.
differently
Yeah.
in them
absolutely.
respects.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to watch it again, it's on YouTube in full. With
Good
subtitles.
quality as
Yeah.
well. Sometimes with the YouTube ones, you're like, who's that? What's
Yeah.
that? we were watching Gay Deceivers on
Unfortunately.
YouTube. Are you aware of the Gay Deceivers?
No.
You know the famous clip where the woman stands on his flowers and he says, I don't know my flowers, but I know a bitch when I see one.
Yes,
This
I have
is the
seen
film.
that.
This is the whole
Oh my
film.
God.
Yeah.
That's the best scene
It's
from the
the
film.
best scene
so
from the
you
film.
don't-
Oh,
I don't
okay.
recommend it. We were watching that recently, and they cut that scene from the YouTube video of the full movie. And so you
No.
had the audio but for YouTube purposes. I probably shouldn't be telling people. Is it illegal to watch it, or is it illegal to upload it?
Well, I mean, The Gay Deceivers is a pretty homophobic film overall, so fuck them. Yeah,
It tried. No, it tried. It was a product of its time. It did try.
Yeah.
There's one positive gay character played by an openly gay actor, which was nice.
Yeah,
And
but that scene was coming up, and we were like, "Oh my god, it's the scene! I love it!" And then the screen goes black, and it was like, in keeping with YouTube, what's call it? You know, but you can guess what's happening. And like, from the audio, you cannot guess what's happening. When he's shouting
Oh my
about
God.
his peonies, you have no idea.
So funny. No, little known fact, the Gay Deceivers was a second choice for our podcast name.
Oh.
Nice.
No, I'm totally joking. Totally joking.
Are you trying not to join the army?
No.
That is the plot of
Have
that
you been
film.
drafted?
That is the plot.
Oh
of that film.
Lord.
Yeah,
They pretend to be gay to get out of going to Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's for film in the '60s. I'm sure you can imagine how that goes.
But it's like an episode of the
Jeez.
Brady Bunch. Like
Yeah.
it's very much like a full-length sitcom. It's got sitcom music and like all that. Like
Oh
you.
wow.
And then yeah.
But yes, if you're a fan of Killer Condom, if you're somehow a fan of the Gay Deceivers, then let us know on our social media. We're Horror Cult Trash over on Facebook and Instagram, and Horror Cult Trash on Twitter. I'm Gaz92 on Letterboxd, Gazmo205 on Instagram, and GazCruise92 on Twitter.
I am Chris Barker 823 on Instagram and Letterboxd.
Give us a rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes if you're feeling generous, and like and follow on everything else. Give us a rating on Spotify. Where can we find the Horror Bandwagon Podcast?
Who knows? No, I'm kidding. We are the Horror Bandwagon. You can find us on all podcast platforms, at least for the most part. If you don't, you can yell at us via our Instagram, which is the Horror Bandwagon, or on Twitter at
Horror Bandwagon.
We have a website, www.thehorrorbandwagon.com, and a YouTube channel. You can head over to our YouTube channel. We have some fun stuff there.
Yes, and we obviously highly recommend checking that out because you guys are
very,
amazing.
very much so.
And thank you so much for joining us on this episode about this surprisingly great film.
Yeah, thank you. You know, you showed us Jaws the Revenge, and we showed you a really great film, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't seem fair. We did end up really liking this watching experience. Thank you so much for having us on.
No problem at all.
Yeah, I recommend watching The Gay Deceivers. Go watch it now on YouTube.
Oh my God.
Now we're
Thank you.
We'll be back next week with I don't know. Are we saying this an official theme? The month of Queens.
No, this is the first time you've discussed it with me.
I'm saying it's a month of Queens.
So being put on the spot.
Well, we're starting with PJ Souls in Rock and Roll High School.
Yeah, so excited to cover Rock and Roll High School. Love that film. Lots to say.
Yes, lots to say about the Ramones singing to PJ Souls while she's having a shower.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be
a lot
back.
of great things. No, there's a lot of great things to say.
Clint Howard's in it.
Weird things to say.
We'll be back same time, same place next week.
Bye.